Microphone check, all seems to be in order, and we are ready to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hello, we are live with Tier 3 here in Austria. It is round 2, you join me on what seems to be for me a beautiful Wednesday evening. It's currently ticking past 7 o'clock right now. We are just over 7 o'clock, and we are getting ready to go. And I still do think I've lost my voice since Tier 2 yesterday on Tuesday, but hey, I'm here 3 days consecutively. So let's kick it off with Tier 3. My first time commentating Tier 3, I do believe. Or is it? I'm not quite sure myself, but hey. And we've got Curtis being the first one to cross the start finish line to start their bank of flying laps. Through turn 1 they go pretty nicely, not riding the curb too much. That's what you want to do through turn 1 for a bank lap. What will this be? There aren't soft tyres, they're trying. to get a good banker lap in, and maybe that will last them until the end of Q1. Let's see what they will do. Through sector 2 they go now. They set the banker sector 1 time, and of course that goes the fastest for them. But what do they do through turn 4 now? The tricky bend of turn 4, I'd say. And now you've got a fairly hairy track, and you've got downhill from now. And let's see what Curtis could do here. This is the downhill section from turn 6. What could they do? With a short run down to turn 9 here. Important not to invalidate it here. What could they do as they go through turn 9? Very nicely from the McLaren, cutting across turn 10, leaving a paper thin gap, and they go on provisional best lap time for Q1 with a 1:05.3. Could that be top? I expect it to, and yes it is, by far. In the Haas with a 1:04.4, considerably better than the slow going McLaren. And Patty Boy now setting the pace through sector 2. Could they keep this up? And could they keep it clean? They're right on the edge of turn 9. Going through turn 10 now. Leaving no gap at all with the track limit to put themselves up to P2 with a 1:04.6. That is a pretty safe time, I'd say, from the Alfa Romeo driver. And we've got the Red Bull to cross the line now, putting themselves up to P2. Only a tenth of a second behind that P1 spotted star with a 1:04.4. What could they do? Let's see if we see any improvement further on the rest of the grid. We've got Richie Rich. I don't believe they're on the lap. No, I believe they're starting one now. Yes, they are. And as I say that, we've got Bright into Alpine, closely followed by Busy Steel, taking Q1 and P2 for Q1. Let's see if it will stay that way, or will we have any more improvements to come. And we've got Richie Rich losing it at the exit of turn 3. And they seem to have spun and had no control over that car. And that seems to be their qualifying run on these soft tyres over, if I'm not mistaken, as they lose it. And do they have some front wing damage? It all looks fine for now, but I'm not quite sure what happened there. They were setting a pace through sector 1, but unable to keep that as they spin at the exit of turn 3. Currently on a flying lap is F1 Rise, as they go across the bend of turn 7 and 8, going through at turn 9 now, right in the inside curb. And through turn 10 now they go. Could it be a clean lap? Is it good enough? It's good enough for P4 in Q1, and surely all drivers will actually survive here. We've only got one driver going out, and we've still got all 16 drivers, but there will be that one to go, and you really do not want to be that one. But who is that one right now? It is Fuel Espanol. They go across turn 10 now. This seems to be a good lap, and it is good for P3. And that ensures them safety and pushes down the two that haven't set a lap time yet, of course, Richie Rich and also Gav in the Ferrari.
Max Verstappen enjoyed multiple wins here on his team's home circuit. Max shares this achievement with legends such as Schumacher and Prost. The Red Bull Ring is a fast track, with top speeds of 337 kilometers an hour being reached, as well as average speeds of 246 kilometers an hour being recorded in recent years. Your man Scully has taken on Daniel Chips's beginning, so strap yourself in for some F1 stats, commentary and history. The Red Bull Ring only has 10 corners, and almost half as many as other tracks such as Spa. Originating from an airfield, the starting line is 2 long straights connected by a hairpin with 5 corners. Track temperatures over previous years show this race to be a hot one. 2019's race recorded temperatures near the 50 degrees Celsius mark. The Red Bull Ring may be a high-speed track, but don't worry. Thanks to huge advances in F1 safety, such as stringent circuit safety measures, the halo, fireproof suits, and biometric sensors, the drivers a very warm welcome.
Right, we've got it. This is still in the Red Bull. I believe they're on a hot lap. And is it good? They're good through turn 1. A bit of wheel spin. They have saved it so far. They're currently in P3, sitting quite comfortably. But they clearly want an improvement and they're not finding it through the first sector. 400th of a second down, but could they improve through sector 2? This is the pace where you need to be setting it. This is sector 2 and they need it to pick up some pace if they want to find an improvement. Right in the inside curb of turn 4. And it's in a very interesting line, going very close and very suddenly to the racing line into turn 5, but that will have worked for them as they set the fastest sector time through sector 2. And are they going on a lap right? Oh, they ride the curb of turn 9 and that invalidates their lap, and we see that as Patty Boy 2 goes onto provisional best time for the moment in Q1, 103.9. All these times should be safe for now. Now, what do they do after they invalidated all their previous laps? They're going on a flying lap now, and will it be good enough? We've got that one driver still being eliminated. And is actually start qualifying? It is start qualifying, isn't it? It is actually start qualifying, yes. Now it is normally full qualifying, but for now I believe it is start qualifying, so I'm just going to go with the flow. We've seen 1 or 3 times being put across the grid now for the top 3 drivers. Ricky Rich a bit hesitant on the turning at turn 4, but could they recover their lap? How good will it be for the AlphaTauri driver? As they go onto the gravel through turn 6, that is very interesting. They run a bit wide and actually invalidated it as well, and surely they'll be wanted to come in for tips. They still need to make their banker lap. So that is very interesting from the AlphaTauri driver. And they're using all their ERS now in fact, and I don't quite get that, as now they do back off. We've got Gav in the Ferrari. What do they do? Through sector 1 they go. We've got a purple time for sector 2. Through sector 3 now, starting sector 3 with the run down to turn 9. It's a downhill from here, as well as turn 10 to start the pit straight. They're clean through there. Is it good enough for provisional pole position? No, it's not. They get 5th, and that is the 3rd row on the grid. They set the pace through sector 3 and 2, but not good enough in sector 1, I'm guessing. But let's see what the rest of the grid are doing. Clicks well through the next across the line, puts in a lap time of a 104.1. That is a very nice lap time, but it's not quite good enough for provisional pole position. Their teammate now, going across the line. They go into P3. It's a slight improvement, but it's good enough to push them into the 103 times. And we're seeing improvements everywhere. And let's see someone who else also improving. It's F1 Rise, going up to P5 with a 104.0. We're seeing improvements now all across the board as we have the session closing. With only 5 minutes left now. Let's see, Gav into Ferrari, they're going into pit lane. Probably awaiting to begin their final flying lap in this qualifying session here in Austria Spielberg for Tier 3 Round 2 here in Austria for GSRL. So let's see, we've got Clickswill also coming into pit lane. Not many drivers right now seem to be on a flying lap, all preparing to go in. The Red Bull getting out of the way of the AlphaTauri, who is setting the pace through Sector 2. Could they keep this up? They're going through Sector 3 now. Across Turn 9 they go. Through Turn 10 very nicely, getting a good exit to set themselves up for that pit straight, pushing themselves up to P8. We've got the McLaren of Curtis. I don't believe they're doing anything right now. I believe that's an outlap. Yes, it probably is. We've got the winner for now in Aston Martin. I believe they're starting their flying lap. Let's see what they could do here. Oh, they're a bit hesitant on the brakes through turn 1 and actually going outside curb of turn 1. And that is not that clean of a lap as we get confirmation and they are backing off that attempt. And will they be trying another one or coming into pit lane? I don't quite know yet.
The Red Bull Ring only has 10 corners. That's almost half as many as other tracks such as Spa. The layout of the Austrian Grand Prix has been revised several times.
Right, we've got Richie Rich. Still yet to set a lap time on an outlap. And they are one of few drivers on track right now. I believe we've got their teammates going slow through Sector 2. Yes, they are, as they go across the track trying to avoid their teammates, crossing the track very dangerously there, but they survive. And now Richie Rich will be starting there. Probably final flying lap here. And let's see if they could keep it within track limits this time. It's very crucial here in Austria. We've got people now going out. Hopefully they'll stay out of the way of the AlphaTauri driver. And have they backed off that lap? I do believe they have. Yes, they're not wasting any ERS on that, so that is them backing off for another attempt probably next time. And we've got Bubinoff right into gravel at turn 7 now. Let's see what they could do as they prepare for their final flying lap attempt on one lap old soft tires. So they've got older than the rest of the grid, but could they find some pace in some slightly more worn out soft tires? They haven't got that much ERS actually. I'm surprised they didn't wait for another lap, but they're having an attempt at it. And interestingly, we've got Dizzy Steel taking up a bit of a slipstream from the back of the Aston Martin. They are on a flying lap. Yes, they are. Red Bull is on a flying lap, going through sector 1 very nicely. Not an improvement, but they got a good exit for turn 3. Down to turn 4 now. What could they do? Really riding the curb and maybe riding it too much, as they nearly spin out at the exit of turn 4, and that is very interesting from the Red Bull driver. We've got it right now starting their final flying lap. Let's see what the Alpine could do. Cutting across turn 1 very nicely, setting themselves up nicely for the second DRS zone of this lap. Let's see what It's Bright can do here. as we have the uphill climb to turn 3. They've improved by 200ths of a second through sector 1. We've got Bubin now disqualified from the session for going the wrong way. And they will not be making another flying lap attempt. They're currently in P10 now, pushed down to P16 because they're disqualified. Now we've got It's Bright. They're keeping it clean through sector 2 and 1. Let's see what they can do as they finish it off. And finish it off with an absolute flyer to go 0.3 of a second faster than their best lap time. They're pushing the limit. And let's see if they could keep it clean through turn 9 and 10 as we have the second flag now being waved. The signal for end of qualifying, and at the last second, could the Alpine grab provisional pole position? Yes, they can, with a 103.7. And now we've got Pappy Boy and Alfa Romeo. They're currently in P2, looking for an improvement to push themselves up to P1. They're not satisfied with P2, but will they get provisional pole position? No, they won't, as Dizzy Steel at the last second tops their lap time. Behind we have Energy Beam. They're going slowly, as well as everyone else, I believe. Ritzy Ritz setting a poor lap time with a 1:11, and it's Bright on pole position. Alongside the Red Bull of Dizzy Steel, and we've got the Alpine taking pole position for T3. Round 2 in Austria for the Global Speed Racing League. And we have got a 2-minute break in place, and that is the end of sort qualifying here in Austria. It's Bright taking the pole position by over 0.2 of a second, and that is a great lap time from the Alpine driver. Alongside we have the rest of the grid pretty scrunched up from P2 to P10. Only about 0.3 of a second separating those lap times from P2 to P10, so that seems to be very interesting. So let's see what we will have in store for the race. And we have rain, and it is very heavy rain here in Spielberg to signal the start of Tier 3 round 2 in Austria, as I mentioned previously. The start of the race, and we have got rain to start it off with, and this is not ideal conditions with everyone probably choosing the wet tires, I'd imagine. And this is going to be very interesting off the line. Not many people will have a lot of grip at all, so let's see what will happen. We've got a 10-turn corner track around Austria. It's a track with the fewest amount of corners, and we have already got the race start. We've got 5 red lights, and 5 red lights are out. We've got a race start. We've got a good getaway from the Alpine driver. Moving to the side to block off in the fence from the Red Bull, but the Ferrari dive bombing the Haas and Alfa Romeo down the inside of turn 1 as we have cars running wide through turn 1. That includes the Alfa Romeo who runs wide. We've got the McLaren and AlphaTauri off on the pit straight, and we have got wet spray everywhere as we have the Red Bull braking late at turn 3 and now going wide, losing that P2 spot. Hopefully, maybe no. Hopefully for the Ferrari driver. No, the Ferrari driver now being attacked from the Alfa Romeo driver. We've got drivers braking late, right and center, I believe. Yes, right, and we've got the Alfa Romeo of Pappy Boy losing it at the exit of turn 4. And this is chaos at the start with a wet start to this race, and what chaos it has brought us, as its bright keeps P1, as now we have a VSC to slow things down. And suddenly we have the end of this VSC so far. We had, I believe, Pappy Boy losing it at turn 4. Now they dropped to P14. We've got chaos all on the grid, but we've got both of the AlphaTauri stopping into the pit lane, and I believe those are front wing replacements. It is for Ritty Rit. We've got all the field scrunched up. It's still VSC conditions around Austria. And it is now green flags. We are off and ready to go back into racing. Let's see, we've got Star riding very closely to the back of the Red Bull, about 2/10 in it for the Haas and Red Bull drivers. Let's see what they can do. It's very rainy. They're not going to have the best connection to the Red Bull's rear wing. They've got spray kicking at them all across this track as they try and stay on the tail of the Red Bull. So this is going to be very difficult conditions to control your car in. We've seen rain in Austria before. This is nothing new to the drivers, but let's see what Star could do now as they look to close in on the Red Bull driver. Let's see, they're very close through the second DRS, and of course that does not matter, but should they make a move into turn 3? We've got them going inside of the Red Bull, a bit behind. They're going to go side by side. We've got the Ferrari running a bit wide, and the Haas taking the line and forcing the Red Bull out wide, and the Red Bull being forced to concede at P4 to the Haas driver now. And we have got the Alfa Romeo and McLaren side by side, energy beam taking the outside line. Let's see as they force McLaren to the racing line, I believe that is. Yes, it is. We've still got them side by side. The McLaren trying to stick it round the outside now. They've got a better getaway, but is it good enough? We're riding on board with them. We've got the McLaren trying to switch back and almost pushing that Alfa Romeo out. And now they're going to have the outside line for turn 9, but do they even need it? No, as they got better traction to take P12, as we have the Alfa Romeo of Pappy Boy now running wide through turn 9. Curtis got a better getaway, but now they're under pressure from both Alfa Romeos. Let's see if they could keep that P12 spot. We've got both Aston Martins running close to each other, and we've got Owen now behind their teammate as that is some late braking from Bubin. And now we've got Gav riding very close to the back of the Red Bull I just saw there. And we've got the Ferrari seeming to stick well to the back of that Red Bull. As the Red Bull nearly loses it at the exit of turn 4. A bit of, I believe, understeer from the Red Bull sliding across the track in these tricky conditions. It's not a good ride. But let's see if the Ferrari could keep it, as the Red Bull seems to have no control over their car as they fall into the grasp of the Ferrari, who is closely followed by the Haas. But we have now got a safety car to slow things down. And we have got 12 in the Alpine now, making a pit stop on lap 5. I'm interested in that, as they fall to, I believe, P14 from the mid-table spot. And we have got Quail now being very brave, going onto the intermediate tyres, and it seems to be sucking it down in Austria, but they have chose to gone on to intermediate tyres, and is that the right choice? I'm not quite too sure about that. And we have got Quell now opting against the enters now and going into pits for some wet tyres. Yes, wet tyres for the Alpine driver. And that was an unnecessary pit stop from what seemed to be a very comfortable P7, I believe. we have got Ricky Rick now riding in P16. They're nearly being lapped by the safety car. Only 3 corners away from them. Will they be lapped? They're trying to catch up now, and I don't believe they will. As yes, we have the safety car in this lap, and Ricky Rick is about a minute behind everyone else. And will its break go early, or will they leave it late? Most people normally leave it late around Austria, but what will they do? As we've got Busy Steel probably picking up some wet spray. And they do go now, and really hesitant on the exit of turn 10, going up into turn 1 now, but they keep the lead. A bit of spinning from the Alpine as they seem to have no control. We've got the Red Bull riding the outside curve of turn 1, as we've got Jess in the Williams overtaking F1 Rise. And now let's see what we have up front. We've got the Red Bull running wide, and that leaves a huge gap for the Ferrari to pass on the inside of the Red Bull. The Red Bull tries to stick it, but having to concede to the Ferrari engine. And we have drag race here, but it seems to me that the Ferrari will keep the position, but now the Red Bull forcing their way past on the outside line, and they are still side by side. No, the Red Bull now, and I believe that is them conceding the place for now, and they run wide, and that leaves a gap open for the Haas driver to go on the outside line into turn 9 now, making a move past into P3 as the Red Bull seems to have no control, and Jesse now trying to stick it on the outside as we have a McLaren running wide through turn 9. That leaves Click's Will on the inside of turn 10 to make the move past the McLaren driver now, as we see Dizzy Steel now fall into P5. They seem to have no control over their Red Bull, but they're looking to come back, and they might just come back as the Williams driver here as we approach the uphill climb into turn 2 and 3 now. We have got the Red Bull now trying to stick it round the outside. The Williams will break late, forcing the Red Bull out wide past the outside curve of turn 3. And now the Red Bull picking up a penalty for being forced out wide through turn 3, having to concede that position to Jesse now. And we've got their teammate making a move down the inside, and quite a dangerous move it is. I believe F1 Rise now punted the back of the Red Bull. Oh, and the Red Bull of the Dizzy Steel has absolutely lost it, and they get spun out. And who was that from? I believe it was from F1 Rise, who absolutely spun them out into turn 6. On the inside line, the Red Bull seems to have lost it. Completely lost that tyre grip, as we see an Aston Martin of Owen smashing it into the wall at turn 8, and that is a major crash to lose all of their front wing. And we've got Alpine with a bad getaway from P1 from turn 1. This leaves them vulnerable to an overtake from Gav into Ferrari. We've got Gav braking kind of late, and we've got Alpine losing control of their car at turn 3 to spin themselves out, but they've recovered it, and it looks like it will only be a drop to P3 as we've got Star, who is currently in P3, having to back off that move, as we've got Alpine losing it, going into turn 4 and smashing it into the wall at the entrance of turn 4. Now they've got back on track, but I believe it's front wing damage for them. Or have they got away scot-free? As we have the McLaren now running wide, leaving them vulnerable from an attack from the Ferrari, who seems to have got a better getaway. We've got the Ferrari being sandwiched by the two McLarens, but the Ferrari right now on the tail of F1 Rise, as we have I believe Curtis making a move past the Ferrari, who is forced to back off. The Ferrari trying to stick it round the outside of turn 9. Not working. They're trying to switch back. Through the pit straight now. They're going to have a good slipstream. And they've got a better exit. But is it a good enough exit? As we have the fight for P1 evolving. As we've got Star now going on the inside of the Ferrari of Gav, who seems defenseless against the move from the Haas driver, who breaks quite late for Meza. We have the Williams now of Jesse running wide through turn 3 in these tricky wet conditions. No one seems to have found any grip at all, and everyone seems to be losing it. And we've got the Ferrari and Alpine now side by side. Well, they're making their way up now. Into P7 they go as they get the move done before the braking zone of turn 4 on the Ferrari driver. And we have got someone spinning it, and it is Jesse absolutely losing control of their car in these wet conditions, and now rejoining the track, falling to P10. They lost it as the exit of turn 6, I believe, and that is a bad incident for them to have as they fall from the front of the grid into P10 now, losing some time there, that's for sure. No one seems to have kept it on track, and someone who hasn't is Curtis, who has lost it at the exit of turn 10. No one seems to have found any grip at all. And F1 Rise now, looking to make a move past the Alpine. Will they do it into turn 3? They're about 5/10 away now. It's all about getting a good exit. And we've got the McLaren braking late into turn 3 and smashing into the back of the Alpine. And that forces another collision, I believe, further down, pushing Curtis to P9 now. We've got the Red Bull overtaking the Alfa Romeo cleanly. And that was a very interesting series of events. As now, who do we have? We've got this fight evolving as the Red Bull runs a bit wide, leaving a gap to the Alfa Romeo, who doesn't have enough traction to get past. On soft tyres you'll have that move done, but the Red Bull not going well, and into turn 9 they're going to be vulnerable to an overtake from the Alfa Romeo, as I believe we've got Jesse now losing it, and the Ferrari goes wide. In fact, MCL reckon goes wide, and they are actually wanting to go into the pit lane now. It is changeover time to the Inters, I believe. And we've got the Red Bull of Clickswell, yes, going on to Inter tyres now. It is changeover time, but will we see some more overtaking just before? We've got Energy Beam now on the back of the McLaren, who is very close to the Red Bull ahead now. We've got the McLaren and Red Bull consecutively running wide, and that leaves them vulnerable from Curtis, who has the inside line. Could they find enough traction and grip? We've got a safety car, and this is ideal for those people on wet tyres now, wanting to go onto some Inters. This is ideal changeover time, as a crash from Owen forced a safety car to go out now. And the track seems to be drying up now, in fact. But we've got Star, interestingly, staying out on those wet tyres, as well as Gav, and also Quell. F1 Rise will go into the pit lane, and I am interested why those top 3 stayed out. And now as I join back, we have got now the top 3 opting to go into pit lane, but the one who is staying out is Quell, who now takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix for Tier 3 here in Route 2 here in Austria for Global Speed Racing League. So we have got most people now riding onto Inter tyres. Let me pull up the tyre graphics so you can really analyze it. And there we go, we've got P1 and P8 still on wet tyres. Energy Beam, interestingly, opting to pit onto the wet tyres instead of the Inters. And interestingly, we've got Quell now disqualified from the session, in fact, for ignoring yellow flag conditions. And is that true? Yes, it is. And Quell, I believe, that is very odd for them to DNF. I believe that is a glitch, as they have been disqualified for going into pit lane during safety car conditions. They clearly wanted to get rid of those wet tyres and they've been disqualified. That is clearly a glitch. And now we have got Star now. They are leading the pack away at this safety car restart. And we have got everything still staying the same through turn 1. We've got no drivers going for an overtake. And leading us up to turn 3, we've got F1 Rice close on the tail of Click's Will. And now Click's Will forcing F1 Rice to the outside. What could happen here? We've got F1 Rice sticking it on the outside. Them two banging wheels, and now this brings the Ferrari into the fight. We've got the Red Bull and McLaren still running very closely to each other, and we've got the Red Bull making a lunge down the inside of the McLaren driver, as we've got the Red Bull, the other Red Bull, Busy Steel, making the move past the inside of the Ferrari of Gav. And now we have got everything calming down now, it looks like. But we've got It's Bright making the move past Morecambe now. Up to P7 they go. We've got Dizzy Steel now still riding closely to the McLaren. It seems to be drying up, and those wet conditions seem to be stopping now. And we've got La Haas, who's currently in P1, Star running wide through turn 3, as we've got the Ferrari now close on the tail of Click's Will, and let's see what they could do. Ferrari down the inside, making a lunge on the Red Bull through turn 3, but the Red Bull being aggressive and sticking it round the outside, but they do not win in that fight, and that brings Curtis as well up to P5. Click's Will being forced to the outside line, not working for them. And now we've got the Red Bull of Click's Will making their way towards the McLaren rear wing, but behind we've got It's Bright forcing the Red Bull of Click's Will into the wall as the run up to turn 3. And It's Bright turned into the Red Bull driver and actually forced them into the wall. That will definitely be looked out by the stewards after the race. That was very dirty driving from the Alpine driver, who was making a move to the inside of Click.
McLaren opted to use power units supplied by Mercedes for the start of the 2021 season. McLaren's relationship with Mercedes
And we have now got Clickswill riding very closely to the back of It's Bright, who's leaving it late and actually going into pit lane. Of course, It's Bright, they're quite dumb, so they haven't picked the right strategy, but someone who has is Clickswill, who now goes leaving it late. And now we have got Star riding very closely to the back of the Red Bull driver and nearly going into the back of the Red Bull, in fact. Late braking from the Haas driver, and now they've got a slipstream to the back of the Red Bull of Clickswill. What could happen here as all drivers approach into turn 3 now? We've got the Red Bull riding side by side with the McLaren. Could they pull a move off? They're going to get a better grip on those medium tyres, and they will make a move past the McLaren through the exit of turn 3. And we've got the Red Bull braking late for turn 4 now. Everyone getting used to those braking distance now. We've got 13 laps left. Let's see, anything could still happen here. We've got all the grid riding very closely to each other. And now we've got Dizzy Steel setting the pace through Sector 2 as they look to overtake the AlphaTauri driver. What could they do? The AlphaTauri runs a bit wide and wide through turn 9, picking themselves up a 3-second time penalty they are. Let's see as we've got a fight for P1, evolving with Star now riding 2 tenths away from the back of the Red Bull. Let's see what they could do. They're going to have a slipstream, but it's not going to be enough. But someone who is looking to make a move is Dizzy Steel in the Red Bull. And the AlphaTauri of Risky Rich runs a bit wide, and that leaves them vulnerable. But Dizzy Steel nearly losing it at the exit of turn 3, and now leaving them vulnerable from an attack by F1 Rise. But Dizzy Steel will have the inside line, and they'll still be side by side. But Dizzy Steel seems to be a front win ahead, but no, Dizzy still trying to pick the outside line. Not working for them as we have another safety car because of Happy Boy 2 retiring and DNFing. Right, and now we have got the safety car restart for the 4th or 3rd time, I believe. As we've got Click's wheel spinning it at the exit of turn 6, I believe. What has happened there? As they fall to the back of the grid. I wonder what's happened there. They fall from P2, and that is an awful restart for them. As we've got Risky Rich getting away quite slowly, but Dizzy still right on the tail of the McLaren, and they're looking to make a move into turn 1. Just not enough speed, but they tap the back of the McLaren, nearly pushing it along through turn 1. But now they'll have a good chance for the uphill climb into turn 3. What should they do? They're gonna brake late and make a lunge down the inside of turn 3, and they've got better grip on those mediums to get past and ahead of the McLaren, who cannot fight that one. And we have got Risky Rich spinning it and going on to gravel. Very interestingly and also very unsafely rejoining the track right ahead of that Ferrari and Williams fight as they go wide again through turn 9, allowing the Ferrari to go past, as well as now the Alpine. I'm surprised that It's Bright made a move on a driver overtaking without making the other driver crash. That's the most surprising thing. But we've got the Ferrari of Gav making a move down the inside of the Williams driver of Jesse, and now leaving it late to the braking work for the Ferrari as they manage to secure that move past the Williams. Now we've got It's Bright closing up on the back of Jesse and now making a move past, but Jesse might fight it. No, they cannot. Up the rest of the grid we have Buganov now with DRS on the back of F1 Rise, who won't have the DRS ahead. F1 Rise is on the hard compound tyres and they will have less grip for now, but those mediums are probably starting to wear out now, I believe. And now we've got Ricky Rich making a flip across the gravel. And we've got Aston Martin now with DRS on the back of F1 Rise, who is left vulnerable without any DRS of their own. What could they do down into turn 3? They'll wait for some more DRS to help them propel a move into turn 4. Could it be working for the Aston Martin driver? Let's see what will happen here. We've got Aston Martin on McLaren and sticking behind the McLaren, not being able to make a move past. And Morecambe now making a move on the outside of Aston Martin, unable to do it through turn 6. And now we've got Rubin in Aston Martin. They're gonna have a drag race. 2 turns 3 these two. And who will prevail? It's gonna be Rubin. No, Aston Martin breaking early compared to the McLaren, and Aston Martin nearly losing control of their car through turn 3 as they're sliding along. That leaves them vulnerable to Morecambe into AlphaTauri, who had a better exit. And what could happen here? No! The Aston Martin going into the back of the McLaren of F1 Rise. They didn't brake at turn 4, and that has left them to go into the back of the Aston Martin. That is a dirty move from a dirty driver of Rubin Oof, who has not braked at turn 4 and consequently gone into the back of the McLaren of F1 Rise. We've got Energy Beam, I believe, losing his apex of turn 1. I wonder what happened there. I'm not quite too sure myself. But we've got those mediums starting to wear out now, I do believe, as we've got LaFerrari and Aston Martin over Rubin and Gav. Gav being forced onto the gravel by the Aston Martin. LaFerrari will now have the inside line. And the Ferrari now giving Aston Martin space, but Aston Martin being forced to concede P5, moving down to P6 now. And we've got Rubin now picking up another 3-second time penalty for track limits. This time it was at turn 1. And now Aston Martin running wide, leaving them vulnerable from attack from Jesse behind. Jesse will now have a better exit. And could they make the move done past Aston Martin? Yes, they will. But Aston Martin trying to stick it round the outside. Will it work for them? In this occasion it just might, but no. Not enough pace from the Aston into turn 6. And we have got it right now, taking some DRS and making a move past Morecambe quite easily for the Alpine driver. And we've got yellow flags being shown through sector 3, and I believe that is a slow going AlphaTauri. And we have the Ferrari of Gav running wide through turn 1, and that leaves them vulnerable from an attack from Jesse, who now gets the move done. and F1 Rise. We've got both McLarens fighting each other out. We've got F1 Rise with DRS. And F1 Rise now taking P9 from their teammate, but their teammate looking to come behind them on the outside line. Leave them space, but F1 Rise has that advantage of the inside line. And we've got someone spinning it out. And who was that? It was Richie Rich as the exit of turn 3. They are a backmarker. And we are on the last lap now, and we have Jesse sticking to the tail of the AlphaTauri and Alpine. Surely they'll pick up a podium without any penalties. They just need to keep it clean, as we have Star now coming across the line to win round 2 here in Austria. But no, Jesse picks up a 3-second time penalty at the last corner. What has happened there? As Jesse now bottling it at turn 10 to pick themselves up a time penalty, and they would have took P3, but now it is only P5 from the Williams driver. And now we have the Haas coming across the line to win the GSRL Tier 3 Round 2 here in Spielberg. It started off rainy, and now it's fine, and now we've got the podium, the Red Bull, Alpine and the Haas. And here are the race results here. And that is the end of my day. I am going away, and I will see you later. Maybe on Monday, maybe earlier. I'll find out.